Hi there guys, so there is a message that Oleksandr Usyk has for Derek Chisora, and the message is very simple. It is just hello. He has been saying hello a lot in videos that have been directed at Derek Chisora. Now, obviously this fight is hopefully going to happen on October 31st this year, but I mean things are subject to change because they did want a crowd and that seems quite unlikely now, but still, that fight hopefully will happen, and it's great to see that Oleksandr Usyk is still interested in that fight, because he could just say, well, considering all of what is going on, he'll just wait until the fight with Anthony Joshua, because he might have to wait that long anyway if his team and Matchroom are insistent upon that fight being in front of a crowd. So he may have to wait until next year to fight Derek Chisora anyway, but he still seems interested in that fight, which is a very positive sign, because we do know that Derek Chisora is very interested in this Usyk fight, and Chisora believes this is going to be his toughest fight to date, and he could well be right. I mean, alongside Dillian Whyte fights and Tyson Fury fights, Derek Chisora has really been around the block, and this is no easy fight for Chisora. And the same applies for Oleksandr Usyk. Not an easy fight for either of these fighters. Now, in this fight, Oleksandr Usyk is obviously going to be pressuring Derek Chisora and using that fancy footwork and being elusive, but the one thing I want to know is what happens when Usyk gets caught. What happens when Derek Chisora lands one of his power shots, provided he does so, because Usyk is quite elusive, but he does get hit. He got hit quite a bit in that fight with Tony Bellew. So I want to see how Oleksandr Usyk stands up to the firepower of a real big heavyweight, because Derek Chisora is not tall. He's around 6 foot, 6'1", maybe 6'2", but Usyk is taller than Derek Chisora, but Chisora is 18 stone. So he's a big heavyweight. Not tall, but strong, powerful, comes forward, bobbing and weaving. He doesn't get marked up all that much when he comes forward either. Chisora seems to take more punishment when he goes on the back foot rather than walking forwards. And that was apparent in the Carlos Takam fight, where Derek Chisora was going back to the ropes and working off of the ropes. He was taking a lot of punishment from Takam, but as soon as he started going forwards, he didn't take much punishment at all. Same with Dillian Whyte. In there with Dillian Whyte, the most punishment that Derek Chisora took was from going on the back foot, as opposed to pressuring Dillian Whyte. So if you think about it, with Usyk having a good cardiovascular system and preferring to go forwards and coming around to the side using angles, but still being on the front foot, more so than being on the back foot, then you have a Derek Chisora who doesn't get marked up as much going forward as he does going backwards, also likes to walk forward. They're going to meet in the middle and have it in the centre of the ring. Now, I don't expect Usyk to stand there trading with Chisora. That would be very stupid, going in there with a heavyweight who clearly has a size advantage and weight advantage over you. Maybe even a power advantage. In fact, I'm going to say, yeah, a big power advantage to Derek Chisora. But still, Usyk, I don't believe will go on the back foot against Chisora. He won't want to invite pressure from Chisora, because that's one of the worst things you can do. Chisora will walk him down. Chisora will find his range, and ultimately, he will impose his physical attributes on Oleksandr Usyk. So what Usyk does need to do is stand there with Chisora, but not stand in the pocket. He needs to be moving off to the side. He needs to make sure that he is busy also, because sometimes it's easy to have good defense, good movement, avoid shots, but sometimes the best defense is offense. So be busy to make sure you smother your opponent's work. So if Usyk is constantly landing fast shots on Derek Chisora, then that will make him tentative about coming forward. He doesn't want Derek Chisora just walking forward, because even a big, strong, physically imposing heavyweight like Anthony Joshua explained that Derek Chisora is extremely difficult to control, especially when he walks forward. He said that Dillian Whyte deserves a huge amount of credit for controlling Derek Chisora in both of their fights. Now, what is interesting about this fight between Usyk and Chisora is it hasn't been announced yet. There has been talks about October 31st as a working date for this fight, but it seems like Alexander Povetkin and Dillian Whyte will go ahead in November, either 14th or 21st. That will be announced very, very soon. And Anthony Joshua seems to be fighting Kubrat Pulev on December 12th. That seems pretty certain. Even Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury 3, December 19th. That seems like a go. But Chisora Usyk, October 31st, before all of those fights, has not yet been announced. It's a working date. Yeah, of course, it has a working date, but it doesn't seem to be announced or anywhere close to that. So they are waiting for a crowd for this fight to happen. which this year I don't believe is going to be a possibility. So they might have to push this fight back until next year. And if they don't want to do that, then they have a decision to make. Do they want to do this fight behind closed doors? Can they do this fight behind closed doors? Yeah, they can do the fight behind closed doors, but there's not going to be as much money in it for the fighters, not for Usyk, not for Chisora. That's the way it's going to be. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're not in the same climate as we were 6-7 months ago. Boxing is in a different place now. Behind closed doors events seems like the thing that's going to happen in the near future. Hopefully next year we can start having crowds back, but at the moment it doesn't seem like a possibility. So there's going to be less money in the fights, meaning fighters will have to take less money if they want to remain active. Now, Eddie Hearn recently said when asked about Derek Chisora and Oleksandr Usyk that there will be money lost on that event by not doing it in front of a crowd, and he is willing to foot some of that bill, but not all of it. So apparently this fight is heavily dependent on a crowd being there, which seems kind of unlikely this year anyway. So maybe this fight will take place further down the line. I mean, October 31st was a working date, and as I said, it's before all of those other heavyweight matchups, and still it has not been announced. And we don't seem to be hearing all that much about it, but what is positive is, as I said, Oleksandr Usyk is still interested. Derek Chisora is still interested. There is still probably a contract in place signed by either party to have this fight and get it done. And it's a good fight for Derek Chisora, huge opportunity to maybe become WBO mandatory or get a higher ranking, maybe fight an eliminator, then get a world title shot. So huge opportunity for Derek Chisora, and it's good for Usyk as well, because Oleksandr Usyk's only heavyweight fight came last year in November in a fight with Chaz Weatherspoon, which, I mean, no disrespect to Chaz Weatherspoon, but was not a world beater, not a tough fight in the heavyweight division. And in addition to that, Oleksandr Usyk has been extremely inactive recently, almost a year out of the ring by the time he would get back in there with Derek Chisora, provided it happens on October 31st. So Usyk does want to be active during this period of his career, especially before a heavyweight world title opportunity, where he's had only one fight as a heavyweight. So activity is extremely important for Oleksandr Usyk. So this fight is still definitely 100% on the cards. It's just when it can happen. Both parties are still interested in the fight, which is positive. But guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.